welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be talking about another one of these apps that promises to help you read more, read faster, and apparently read books in only 12 minutes. We're going to talk about the app 12 minutes coming up. So if you're not familiar with this app, it's basically one of several different apps out there that promise to help you read books faster. And obviously, there's no way that you're actually going to read a book in 12 minutes unless it's like a short story or something. Basically what this service is it's a summary app where essentially someone from their company is reading the book and coming up with a short 12-minute summary of the book. And basically what you are paying for with this service is access to these summaries, available both in the print version and the audio version. So I tried out this service and here are my thoughts on what I think about this service and if I think it's actually worth buying. So the pros, the things that I think are actually kind of nice about this service. First advantage of a service like this is obviously you get the information faster. If you are someone who really just does not like reading, if you are someone where you don't want to read the full book for whatever reason. Maybe you're running late to your book club and you're just like, I only have 12 minutes in the car to get there. I've got to read it really fast. I think the summaries were decent. I don't think that they were amazing, but I think they got the job done in, as best as you could really expect for 12 minutes. The second thing that I think did make it slightly better than some of the other apps that I've used like this is the voice and the audio performance was human-ish, which I know is not a high bar, but I did find it kind of hard to tell if it was a robot voice or if it was actually a human. So I find it's kind of weird saying that as a pro, but I think that was a pro compared to some of the other service I've tried. The third thing I want to point out, and it's kind of a nice thing about this service, is I think the cost is reasonable if you are actually going to get your money's worth and you're actually going to use this frequently. The cost of the service is $44.99 per year, at least when I was looking at it last, which is less than $4 a month. I think if you are someone who's actually going to use this service on a regular basis, if you actually don't want to spend any time reading and you just want to be like, give me the summaries, it's a reasonable price for what you're paying for it. Another thing that I thought was pretty cool about this service is they do have a decent amount of original content. They had stuff about how to stay productive working from home. They had coronavirus type of wrap up summary original content. So I thought that was pretty cool and it does seem like they refresh that pretty frequently. So that was another advantage of the service that I found. Also, what I liked is they do allow you to speed up the audio up to 3x, which is not something that you always see with services like this. If 12 minutes is just too slow for you and you need to listen to the 12-minute book in 4 minutes, then you're in luck. You could do that. The final thing that I thought was really nice about this service is they do have some pretty nice features for tracking your progress. You can set goals for how much you want to read and it does track your progress. They do also have some competitive features so you can track your progress against other people on a leaderboard, which I thought was pretty cool. Okay, so what did I think was kind of not so good about this service and maybe some things that you would want to think about if you are thinking about using this app 12 minutes or 12 minutes. I have no idea what it's called. I feel like the name is kind of weird. First thing I want to point out is in the kind of the pros, I talked about the fact that it does not sound like a robot voice when you're using the service. I think that is true on normal speed. Personally, I found that when I sped up the speed, like I was talking about to 2x, 3x, it started to sound more and more robot-like. As I said, it was kind of borderline where I wasn't totally sure if they just have a bad technology for increasing the speed and it's like an actual person, but then when they speed it up, it sounds like a robot. Or it could just be that it's a robot voice that is passable at normal speed and is just really bad when you speed it up. Either way, the reading experience wasn't amazing sped up, keep that in mind. The second thing that I didn't like about it is I feel like the selection was not that great. Now, for the most part, these services only have nonfiction books, and this service was no different. I did a quick search on Amazon of the top 5, actually the top 6, because 2 of them were duplicates, self-help books that are currently selling on Amazon, because I feel like those self-help kind of genre is really the bread and butter of these types of services, and only 2 of them were available. So 2 of the top 5 were available on this service, which is not terrible. It was the top 1 and 2, so can't complain about that. But keep that in mind that if you were looking for this to be like your one-to-one comparison where you will be able to find every single book under the sun that's coming out in the self-help nonfiction biography category, you're probably going to be disappointed if that is your goal. Another thing to point out that could be a potential negative is from what I could tell, you do have to pay upfront for the year, which to me, I don't love when companies do that. It kind of like leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like, why do I have to do this? Does this mean that like people are all churning out after a month, and so you need to force them to pay for the year because people aren't liking this for more than a month or 2? I don't know. I am speculating, so, think about that. And then finally, I feel like I have to just say this, but, listening to a summary is just not going to be as good as the real thing. I thought the summaries were okay. They got the job done, but you're not going to get that same experience of listening to the author's stories and examples, of getting the repetition of the content over and over so you actually remember it. Like, you're losing all of the fun of reading when you listen to a service like this. I think they have their place, but it's just not going to be as good as reading. It kind of takes the fun out of it. I didn't really enjoy listening to any of these summaries just because it's like the very bare bones version of the book. So, if you like reading, this may not be the right app for you. So all of it being said, would I recommend it? Would I use this app on an ongoing basis? Personally, for me, I don't think it's good enough for me to use on an ongoing basis. I think it's good if you're someone who reads a lot of nonfiction and you want something to help remind you of like older books that you've read, if you want to just quickly refresh yourself on what the book was about. I think these types of services are also good if you have not read the book yet and you're trying to decide what books you may want to read, especially because these are nonfiction, so you're not necessarily like spoiling yourself necessarily. You may want to like listen to the short versions of 3 books and choose one of them, for example, to read. Or you just have no time to read and you're just like, I just want this information. I want this summary. I want to stay up to date on like what nonfiction books are coming out and generally like what people are talking about, but I don't actually want to spend the time reading. If that's you, then I would say go for it, read, use this app. It's fine for that. Now, I forgot to mention, I do actually have a referral code for this service down in the description box. Feel free to use that if you want to, but, as I said, personally, I probably won't be using the service myself. So, take that for what it's worth, but if you do want to use it, feel free to use that code down below. I would love to know if you guys have any other apps or reading apps that you would like me to try. I really like trying them out and making videos about them. So if you have any suggestions, let me know down in the comments. And that's it. Bye, guys.